Welcome, U2TV. This is our preseason show, and we're here with Greg Davis, the head coach of the Colony Garnet Raiders.
I'm surprised you didn't get that wrong. I thought you were going to say something else for a minute. That's been a couple stops out along the way.
I'm a lot of study, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But he's here again, once again. Last time we saw you was last time we did the preseason show was when you were what Troy or
Troy.
Yeah, Troy. Yeah. So it's been a while. We're back now. We're bringing the preseason show back, and we had to bring you on, man. You had a lot of changes since Troy.
Yeah,
you did LaSalle and here.
It's been quite a journey, but I'm excited and happy to be back home. I went here as a kid. I played here for 3 years on varsity, and it's cool to be back teaching in the building and now coaching in the building. Being back in one place is nice, but being home is, man, it's a dream come true.
No question about it. And you said one key word. I walked to the gym, and I saw you teaching right away. You know what I mean? Like, you really get to the finer details of things. You know what I mean? What subject do you teach in this building, and where do you get that? I think we talked about it before, but where do you get that teaching acumen from?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to be an assistant coach and a JV coach, and obviously working with great coaches throughout my whole career. So I started after college here at Colony with Doug Kilmer, who was a very successful coach here at Colony. I then went to Academy and learned from Don Lucia, and obviously Rich Hurley at Troy. But being a teacher was something that I was going to school for anyway. And then now that I've kind of been in buildings and taught multiple different grade levels, 7th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, now 11th and 12th, I kind of take that teaching aspect and put it back onto the court. So coaching and teaching are very similar for me. I always tell the guys that I'm a teacher first, right? Because that's where I get the paycheck from.
Yes,
that's what I do every single day. And then this is my passion. So it just, in easy translation, you're teaching basketball. And what's better than doing that?
No question about it. Now, what subject is it?
So I teach history here.
Okay, great.
I teach seniors, juniors, and one elective class that has some sophomores in it. But so I've been teaching history from 7th grade over at Troy to high school over at Troy, and now here. So
That's wonderful.
That's my main goal, yeah.
Now, let's go back a little bit to LaSalle. Before COVID happened, you had a team I thought could be like really good. You know, are you gonna have a team this year? Cause I see the one big guy I didn't know you had. He's like 6'9", looks like.
6'9".
Is this team any representative of that team you had?
Yeah, I mean, length-wise, height-wise, and athleticism-wise, this team is very similar to that. We had a lot of great kids at LaSalle that first year. Bo Catherwood, Owen Kane, Gabe Lucarelli. We had Shamir Green, Adam Myers. Like, we had a lot of guys that could go out there and play. And this group is very similar. We have a lot of guys that can play. We're very deep. It's Coach and I's job to figure out the best lineups for that particular night and then for that particular matchup. But that's where we fall in love with the process, is to figure that all out and making these guys work so we can figure it out.
Now, if I turn to Coach, what was the most difficult part of this transition back here? I mean, you got to get your own staff, freshmen, JV. I mean, talk to me about that whole process.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most difficult part was just leaving something that we were trying to build for 3 years. That was something that I had personally invested in over at LaSalle because I got that job. I interviewed for it. I did the whole process. To give that up and to kind of leave those kids that we had been building for this next kind of run in this next couple seasons, Devon and Treddy and, and Liam, those young guys that we had up on varsity, to kind of let them go and be coached by somebody else was definitely hard. But at the end of the day, I think it was just an easier decision because it is home. It's somewhere where you get pulled to no matter what. I loved playing against Colony when we were at Troy and at the
Right.
But I also hated it at the same time. So now being back here where I can kind of, use my own personal experience as a player and also teaching in the building and going through here as a student, it's just a win-win. So it was kind of a no-brainer, as hard of a decision as it was.
So I know, coming back home and being, acclimated with the community once again and being that guy and what have you. Now talk about the team that you assembled here, some of your goals, what you're looking forward towards the season, and what do you look like coming in? Because you have success everywhere you went. Had success at Troy, had success at LaSalle. You bring that success with you. Immediately, I talked to one of the players off the court, and they said they were so happy at practice right away. So immediately you bring that type of repertoire.
So I think, just coming in with this group and trying to figure out how we all fit together. I mean, it's a new crop of players. There's some returning juniors that were on the team last year that played a different role. There's some new juniors who were call-ups as sophomores last year. So trying to figure out that new mix is always something that's important. I mean, high school basketball, there's so much turnover. So every year feels like a brand new year. You know what I mean? And I think that the things that we do well as a program have been just kind of our identity. When we have those little details that we get right every day, the way we talk to each other, the way we run sprints, the way we tuck our shirts in for practice, and all those little things that we do, that leads to the success that you guys see on Tuesdays and Fridays, because it makes those kids understand that details are important, and that's what wins championships. These guys have a vision, a very high goal for themselves. We have a very high goal as a staff and as a program, but we're not going to get there unless we end up having those details. And I think that preaching that every day, that's what drives that success.
Now, we talk about all of the wonderful things and all the success along the way, but success comes with challenges. Talk to me about some of your challenges along the way, going from a successful program in Troy, then to LaSalle. Talk about some of your challenges in that process.
I think, the biggest thing was just trying to start over. I was at Troy for 8 years. I took over the head coaching job for the last 3 years, and then with Coach Hurley coming back, they decided to go with him, which was completely up to them, and that's fine. But now having to figure out, okay, well, what do you want? Do you want to stay in the community that you're teaching in, that you've coached in for 8 years, or do you want to try and go somewhere else and see if you can continue to build success and whether you're the coach you think you are? And I think that going to LaSalle opened up that door and opened up that opportunity. It made me more confident in my abilities, and it also made me realize about how different groups of kids can buy into the system that you create, even though it may be at a public school, a private school, and now back at a public school. If they want it bad enough, they'll listen, they'll focus, they'll bring the energy every day. And I think, personally, those were the challenges, was to go to place, but now being back here, I told these guys, this is it. This is the last stop.
Last stop and then let you go.
Yeah,
good, awesome. Now, talk to me about Trey. I mean, a player that I thought could have did more last year, could have added more, was maturing, but this year I see that he's a little bit more adamant. He's going to be – how do you get him in a position to assert himself more? That's the thing that I had an issue with him a little bit last year.
Yeah, I think for him it's just building confidence. I mean – it's a different system that we're playing, from Coach D'Agostino, who's done a great job getting these guys ready. But my style of play is just different, and that's coach to coach, that's program to program. We all have different ways of doing things, and I think the way that our program is going to be set up and be built fits Trey's game very well. He's a great athlete. He's long. He's athletic. He can jump out the gym. He can shoot it well from the mid-range, and he's working on getting that range deeper. But I think as he builds more confidence and finds success inside of the scrimmages we're about to play, the practices that we're doing, I think he'll start to bloom and blossom into something that is a very good player in this and in the league in general.
Yes. Awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was one of my Achilles' heel. I was like, this guy can stroke the outside shot. He's letting other guys that he can shoot better than, shoot the shot.
Yeah. So you talked about Trey. Now talk about Tremarkey. I like his grittiness, his hard play, attacking the basket downhill. His first year on varsity, he was knocking out a jump shot, and last year he's like he couldn't hit a jump shot. Right. So I mean, what are you working with him to improve on this year?
I think it's the same thing. I think his shooting is going to continue to get better as we just continue to keep doing more and more shooting in practice. But I do agree. I think the intangibles that he has, his grittiness, his toughness, his ability to communicate, and just the way he plays. He just plays so hard.
Yeah.
I think that's something that you just can't teach, but it's infectious too. Like if you've noticed, even when you guys have been here, everybody's playing hard. Like that's not something that we have to worry about, and I think that's because Cam and Trey and those guys, the other seniors like Nas, JR, Cam Corrett, those guys all play extremely hard no matter what, and I think it's just something that is infectious and has gone down the line from the seniors to juniors and to the two sophomores that we have.
We could talk about Trey and Tremarkey all day, but I walked in the gym and I saw this big guy. Yeah. Who is this big guy? How big is he? And is he or is he just a guy who just, you put him in layup line, just scares people, he doesn't play? Is he going to be a player?
Yeah, so receiver, he's a sophomore for us.
He's a sophomore?
Yeah, sophomore, 6'9".
Wow.
He was on the JV last year. I remember seeing him. Obviously, we played them when we were at LaSalle. But he's just developing into his own. Every day he's coming in, he's getting better. He's got great feet, he's got good touch. He's finding his athleticism. It's hard to be 15 years old and be 6'9".
Wow, yeah.
Finding your way is going to be something that's going to be a challenge for him, but he's willing to put in the work, and he's doing a great job. Every day he comes in, he's trying to get better at maybe 1-2 things. And what's also great is having Coach Pierre who's 6'7", who's in this position,
100%.
went to this high school.
Wow.
So him and he was a freshman when I was a senior, so we've had a great relationship the whole time, throughout our years. And having him that played Division III basketball at Hobart for 4 years, having him work with Lucas every day, it's a godsend.
Yeah.
You feel like you in heaven, man? You feel like you in heaven, man?
I can tell.
Yeah.
For real.
What is that I see over there? It's a giant in the room
That's a
that we got to
giant.
talk about.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Green Tech.
Yep.
Oh.
They've been stamping it the last couple of years, back to back. A lot of program success. They look even strong this year. I know they got to be on your radar. Talk to me about going into the season and thinking about those guys in the mix of things.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, it's all new because AAA changes the game. So we're in the AAA, they're in the AAA, and I think that eventually our paths will cross. But yeah, they've been a great program. DJ's done a great job. They have kids, they have talent, they play hard, and they can really work teams to the bone. But I think that one thing that we have to do is just focus in on what we can control, not worry about what happens during their season. Always a mind's eye as a coach looking around, seeing where things go, but we can only control what we can control. We can't really look into the future, and we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, they've had a lot of success. CBA has as well. The private schools have really been doing a good job. Obviously, I've been at one, so they're always on the come up. But I think being back here and having the pool of talent that we do, I like where we're headed, and I like where we're going, and we'll take our chances when you put us in the court against anybody. I think you guys know that. So
Coach Davies know how to answer these questions, doesn't he, Coach?
Now, what are your chances of? Let's start with the first goal. What are your chances of winning the Suburban Council?
yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty open. Shen's going to be tough. They always are. Bethlehem's tough. Just again, not being in the Suburban for 3 years has kind of changed my view of it because I got away from it for a while. But I think we can be right there. We have enough talent to do it. It's just going to come down to the little things. Are we going to play hard every night? Are we going to make sure that we go out there and handle our business when we're supposed to? Take punches. We're going to have to do that, but also make sure that we're being aggressive and doing what we need to do and putting ourselves in a position to win.
All right, now, my last question before I hear the coach. Give me your top 5 players in the area. You can name any some of your team, your own team, but give me the top 5.
Well, I'm gonna always take our guys. So I won't give you our list.
Okay, all right.
Then they'll have to yell at me. But no, there's tons of talent around the area. Obviously Maven at Green Tech is a great player. Vogel and Osinski at CBA are 2 great players. And then I got to give my guys Devon and Shreddy and Liam their shine too over at Sal. But there are guys everywhere. Miles is over at Shen, and I'm sure they have other pieces. Again, not being here, we've only played them once. So in my 3 years over at Sal, so it's always good to kind of get back into a new league or back into the league you were in and get adapted again. Like, okay, who's where? Who's got this guy? Or whose JV looks good?
Yes.
But the talent pool in our section is tremendous. And I think every night you're in for a battle. It doesn't matter if it's AAA, AA, single A, Class B. You're always in for it.
No question. He gave us 7 guys, but we'll take
Finally, Coach, is it anything that's been on your heart or anything with the way something was designed or a rule or regulation, anything that came out that you want to share that maybe this is the time you can talk to the people about something that you feel, anything?
No, I mean, as far as basketball goes, the game is always adapting. It's always changing. But I think the one good thing about sports in general, and particularly basketball, it's so team-driven that I think what we need to understand is that this is not about one individual anymore. This is a collective group of 12, 13 guys sometimes. 5 guys get to be on the court, so there are other guys that have other roles to fill, whether it be on the bench, whether it be playing a 6-man, a 7th-man, an 8th-man, whatever it might be. But it's a teaching moment for every kid. I think sometimes we get lost in like the wins, the losses, but this kid's playing and this kid's not playing and this guy's upset or that guy's upset. Understanding that it's a process and understanding that it's bigger than just you is something that I think helps everybody. So if we can continue to kind of understand that, they get help on the court, we get help as coaches, it helps the parents, right, to understand that we're wearing Colony across the chest. We're not wearing your son's name.
Exactly.
We don't do that. So it's about more than just the product that you see, the lessons that we teach in the locker room, what we talk about, academics, how we hold them accountable doing that, the hallways, the building. It's all part of the process. So everything has a purpose, everything has a point. And I think I had my message is let us handle it. Let us do what we got to do,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to turn your sons into great athletes and great young men. That's the idea.
I got one thing, Coach. Now,
Which
you didn't mention it. You didn't mention about the triple A, double A. You had no concerns about that? No, nothing at all?
No, I don't think so. I think it's all out of our hands as a
Right.
tennis game because it's all based on population.
Yeah.
So if we were double A, we'd have the opponents that maybe we were more used to.
Yeah.
But triple A is half the suburban anyway.
Right.
So it's kind of that same mode. And I told you guys before, we'll play anybody. It's
Right.
not, we're ready to go.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's not that we would rather be here, rather be there.
Okay.
We just want to play.
we know your MO. That's why you was our coach of the year
No
one
doubt, no
year.
question
All right.
about it.
So
Still got my trophy.
yeah,
My
100%.
My man.
So, hey, that's it. That's a wrap. U2TV, Coach Greg Davis, wonderful guy, did a wonderful job every stop of the way. I don't think you will see any different here. We're looking forward to covering him, competing. Wonderful coach. Thanks a lot for coming on, Coach. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yep.
very much.
All right.